All right, everybody, going into game number 5. This is going to be the last match of today. It's going to be EG iNcontroL versus OGS Ensnare. We are all set up and ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and start the game. The first map is going to be, again, Crossfire SE. So they're going to be pitted out on this Terran versus Protoss.
So this is going to be a fun match. You have Ensnare, who is a Code S Korean-level player, going up against iNcontroL, who did really, really well in MLG Dallas recently. This is a big opportunity for iNcontroL to prove that he can do it on a really high stage. He's going to be spawning in the upper right-hand corner as the red Protoss, bottom left-hand corner. We have OGS Ensnare as the blue Terran.
So I've actually got a chance to talk with iNcontroL about what his plans are for this individual map. What he said, what we kind of agreed on, and I hope he does it now, but what he kind of agreed on is he's going to be doing a 3-gateway expand, going to be getting that huge amount of gas units. That more importantly is going to be the sentries, because you need to be able to use those to block out some of the tanks for the later game, and also he wants to pick up as many Marines as possible in the beginning game. It's just going to delay his push a little bit later, and then he's going to be expanding and teching to Colossus to deal with a Marine tank type push.
I really like that decision, especially considering I've seen iNcontroL play several times in this map, and when it gets to late game, he is impeccable. He makes really, really strong decisions. I think he plays very, very well. Looks like Ensnare is just starting off with a supply depot blockade, perhaps wanting to deny information from iNcontroL. He is classically a more aggressive player, so I wonder if he is going to open up with that aggressive slot. Looks like iNcontroL scouting after Pylon and engaging, looks like peon on peon action initially here, and SCV has chased off that probe at least initially, but swinging back around, it looks like it is going to be able to sneak in the base.
Indeed, it's just going to be able to get in here and see what exactly Ensnare is doing. Probably going to be putting down a refinery pretty soon, but I'm not sure. Actually, not actually putting him down just yet. Might look like he wants to do a 1 Rax expand.
Looks like iNcontroL doing some damage, but yeah, getting basically an eyeful. In the meantime, he's not doing anything too crazy. He has that gateway rolling. He also has a simulator about halfway finished. It blockaded out. Wow, nice move by Ensnare. Has denied that probe any additional information at a really critical time because, granted, everything he's seen thus far has to lead him to believe this is going to be a more long-term economic style of build, but at the same time, he doesn't have all the information. Maybe there was a double gas take immediately after this.
Yeah, we don't know. We can see, I'm going to go on the Jeff cam. He doesn't know that there might have been a refinery here. There might not have been a refinery. He doesn't really know. So I don't think iNcontroL, iNcontroL knows exactly what's going to be going down.
Looks like OGS Ensnare is, all signs point to a fast expansion, 1 Rax into command center build. It looks like he does have an SCV moving out to build a command center on the corner once he hits 400 minerals. So going the economic route, and this could hurt iNcontroL if he does decide to do what you were talking about, going for the 3-gate into expand build, because he would have to play economic catch-up. It looks like he does have that second assimilator going up. Probably going to play Sentry early to start. I think Sentry is very, very strong and effective on this map. It's very important to get them out early to build that energy, but I take it back. It looks like he's going to open up Stalker.
Yeah, indeed. Well, to get the Stalker out in the early phase, that's the most important thing to do. If you're not going to go a Zealot, just chrono boost that Stalker out really fast, and we can see behind that going to be getting this very fast second gas. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing iNcontroL going up to 3-gate. You better do it, iNcontroL. Don't make me look bad. A Sentry now coming out, so all indications do point to him going a 3-gate type of play. And now we can see a 2nd gate did go up. And where's your 3rd gate, iNcontroL? Come on. Well, I'll go back to him, but we're definitely going to be seeing that, crossing fingers. Meanwhile, we do have OGS Ensnare going to barracks.
Actually getting an additional barracks as well as another planting a ferret. Wow, blind there. You lift up the buildings, you get that green structure, you see an SCV nearby, you just start making assumptions. You know what they say about assumptions. They're bad. Yeah. Looks like we have a reactor, though, on that barracks to fill in. Very Marine heavy to start from Ensnare, playing somewhat defensively as well, getting a bunker up to the high ground. So let's see if iNcontroL is going to be able to stop the scouting SCV. He is able to dispatch it very, very quickly. But at the same time, it looks like Ensnare just going to keep that orbital command inside his base, use the mules, use the SCVs to just play defensively and get that economy rolling before he decides to move out and take that natural expansion.
Indeed, and I like this play. He's probably just going to be teching up 2 reactors, but going to be teching up to mass Marine tank It's a really, really nice sort of build. Now has a theoretical 4 barracks with these 2 reactors on there. Going to be able to push out 1,000,000 Marines a second.
Wow, and that plus the siege tanks, he's going to have a brutally large economy to work, or brutally large macro base essentially to work with in that expansion build. Ooh. Looks like another command center for Nexus 4 in control, but he's got a lot of troops out front, several sentries, going to thinking about engaging, staging there at the very least. Perhaps wants to run up, do a little damage, at least peck around and see what Ensnare's up to.
Yeah, definitely, and I think he's just going to sit out here, going to look to just force field out any armies if he needs to, and behind that, going to go ahead and expand. So iNcontroL not looking to actually push up, but I think Ensnare doing a really nice job, has the siege mode going down as well as siege tanks coming up, so he's going to be sitting really nice against this force, going to be able to push out just by sieging some tanks up and shelling out on these units.
Yeah, it's going to be unfortunate. iNcontroL is going to hear the siege tech. He's going to look around and be like, what? And that poor stalker on the corner is probably going to get plastered, take a couple hits before he's able to back off. And just as I say, it looks like iNcontroL well aware of that siege tank threat. Looks like he is going to back off now that natural expansion just about finished and up and running. He still has that pylon in that bottom corner, so it is feasible that he could warp in a unit or two just to do some later game scouting or maybe even some harassment. But Ensnare is off to the races. He's already got a lot of units pumping out of everything. He has the opportunity to take some additional territory, but he hasn't scouted out actually to see whether iNcontrol's left, so he's just kind of sitting here now starting to move out. That is a ton of Marines.
Yes, indeed. We can see at the unit counting station, 66 out of 78 for Ensnare, and going to iNcontroL, he's at 57, so Ensnare looks like he's getting a lot more units a lot faster than iNcontroL, but the quality of iNcontrol's units are pretty high. He does have those stalkers, he does have the sentries, so he's looking fairly strong right now, in my opinion, to be able to, kind of defend against any incoming pressure.
Yeah, I gotta say, Protoss armies in particular, with the sentry counts on this map, just the way you can force field off armies, cut them in half in open field, it makes them very difficult to cope with. Looks like iNcontroL is going to warp in a single stalker to deal with this Marine on low ground, but a lot more Marines rushing in, going to take this stalker and this pylon out. But in the meantime, we did have Robotics Bay up and running. I assume we're going to see Colossi in not too long, and once that Colossi is out, that will really minimize the large Marine numbers early, as long as iNcontroL can protect it. Actually, a little bit of a fight over the Zelnaga Watchtower. 2 Marines taken out, a big engagement. Now that army's split in half. It looks like the Marines able to sneak through, but siege tanks to support. That's going to send iNcontroL back home.
And 2 nice shots going off, but iNcontroL going to consistently just poke in, poke out. He doesn't have the ability to actually engage on when the siege tanks are in siege mode. 1 stalker does go down, so really nice, slow, meticulous play by Ensnare. He does have quite a bit of Colossus out right now, or excuse me, Colossus siege tanks out right now, and he's just pushing up very aggressively against iNcontroL. iNcontroL has to back up quite a bit.
Nice little defensive force field on the ramp to try to delay. He needs to actually consistently press those force fields, because Ensnare looking to do some damage behind this expansion, just pouring the troops out, consistently building several Marines and siege tanks, and he's just stepping his way forward. iNcontroL again blocking. It looks like he is going to be able to snipe a siege tank, but again, still taking fire from down below, and I gotta say, Ensnare is playing this beautifully, just slow pushing this all the way up, just hugging that ramp, is able to flood forward. iNcontroL has the Colossi out. There's the Guardian Shield as well. Is he going to be able to...
my God.
He needs to babysit that desperately, but all the Marines have been taken out on that front. I think the Stalkers should be able to clean the siege tanks out. Let's see how many troops he's going to have left over. The Colossi was taken out otherwise, though, but iNcontroL with a big victory there.
Unbelievable. And the Colossus comes out at the perfect time, was able to snipe all those Marines out, and all these Marines are going to be cleaned up as Ensnare tries to go ahead and kill the sentry, but not going to be able to do that. And right now, on the back foot, Ensnare needs to be careful. He doesn't have a lot of units back at home, and iNcontroL going to go ahead. He has this observer here in perfect position, going to see everything that's coming up, and this is really exciting. iNcontroL is going to be able to pressure on, but there are Marines on this side. The siege tank is going to be able to siege up, and iNcontroL is going to have to back up a little bit. He can't afford to stay there, and the observer actually is going to be picked off as well.
Looks like Ensnare just bought himself some time with that little Marine maneuver to siege that tank up, which basically saved him right there. If he did not get that tank in siege position at that forward slot, basically iNcontroL would have run right over him, picked off that siege tank, and would have been Marine on Stalkers with the Colossus coming. Not the situation he wanted to be in. Instead, though, iNcontroL still taking the victory. It looks like he's going to expand to that upper left left-hand corner is very safe in doing so. Thermal Lance upgrade also coming online, and I feel like he's staging right outside Ensnare's base. This is not the position Ensnare wanted to be in at this stage of the match, where he has a Protoss army with Colossi in it, fielding right outside his main.
And again, instead of taking a huge economy, a huge unit lead, iNcontroL is actually doing this passive-aggressive style, which he's very known for. Instead, a lot of times people think, okay, I have a huge loss in the amount of units. Instead, he's going to wait until he gets a huge economy lead and also get these upgrades. So he's going to wait a little bit. He's going to play a lot more passive, and then as soon as, let's say, 5 minutes go down the road, he's going to come out with this hugely upgraded, developed army, and he's going to be really strong against Ensnare's incoming, bio army, mainly bio army with garnishing with a couple of siege tanks.
I'm curious what Ensnare's going to do as well in the follow-up when he has to go take and establish some of this position on that third base, because you cannot just sit back on that third base. He already has some Vikings fielded to help against the Colossi, and perhaps help against maybe a Phoenix or any sort of air threat as well that might be coming out for iNcontroL. I don't think iNcontroL, it doesn't look like he's opted for air at this stage, and they're starting to push forward a little bit. But still, I feel like iNcontroL in a fantastic position, has a lot of Colossi out. I love the two forges pushing the upgrades and being chrono boosted while doing so. A lot of Stalkers, very Stalker heavy, seeing that big Marine composition count. And actually, the only thing I wish I saw more of is more sentries. Only 5 sentries currently in iNcontrol's composition.
Yeah, I mean, sentries are extremely hard to make. They are 100 gas each. And if you think, if I make 2 sentries, that's a potential Colossus that I could have been making. In terms of gas, of course. But we can see, actually, OGS Ensnare does look like he wants to go ahead and drop. He does have 4 Marauders, and 8 Marines in these 2 medevacs. Now going to be swinging around, and iNcontroL doesn't have any spotters around here. He could be in a lot of trouble. Doesn't have any units ready either. So this might pull him quite a bit. And we're going to see if Ensnare can do a little bit of damage. Actually, splitting off with these 2 medevacs, really nice. Might be looking to attack both of the individual supply, or the
expansions at once. Yeah. iNcontroL completely out of position. The Marauders with Stimpack very rapidly going to be able to chew through a lot of these probes. There's the engagement at the natural expansion, but still, engagement at the main. Looks like iNcontroL is going to react very rapidly, but his economy being absolutely halted, and I love this. Ensnare, while he's harassing all over the place and really keeping iNcontroL on the back foot, simultaneously he's going to move another army down and float out that command center and take control of that Zelnaga watchtower. Just take absolute map control while iNcontrol's army is not out in the field and really able to contest.
Yeah, I love this. And ooh, Ensnare trying to get in here. The medevac is being shot down. Oh, but the Stalkers are going to change direction as the Marines pop up. This is not good, and the Zealots are going to be warped in immediately. But still, ooh, the medevac does get taken out. Very nice play. And meanwhile, Ensnare, again, as you said, taking that time to go ahead and really take control of the map. But we do see another harass coming back here. Ensnare does have another drop, going to be able to... Ooh, Blink is out, going to be able to take out this medevac. 3 more Zealots are going to be able to come in, and I do think they're going to be able to sweep up everything in this drop.
Wow, interesting play here from Ensnare. It looks like still trying to fight this off. Actually, iNcontroL burying his entire army there. But deciding to take the gold expansion first, upgrading it to a planetary fortress. Unfortunate for iNcontroL, he had a single probe in that bottom right-hand base, expecting that to be the next base. And wow, while that's already established, while it's already a planetary fortress, this probe is going to wander in and get absolutely, perhaps crushed. Oh, well, he held it short. That probe may live another day. May live another day. Now iNcontroL, though, getting aggressive, moving a lot of that army across the 9 o'clock.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and counterattack. He knows that Ensnare has that position really solidified with this huge tank Marine Marauder wall, plus the Vikings, so I think he's just going to circumvent this entire army. Yes, it does look like he is, and now, oh my gosh, Ensnare sees it, but all of these Colossus are going to be able to get into position. He's going to take some of the pot shots from those individual siege tanks, and this is a really, really big stage for iNcontroL. Going to be able to deny this huge natural. And all of the, oh my god, Blink coming up onto these Vikings. The Vikings are going to go down immediately, and it does look like siege tanks are going to try to get into position, but they are not going to be able to, as Marines, Marine and Marauders just move commanded in. What a huge blunder for Ensnare.
Wow, with the blank stalkers, iNcontroL able to depict this battle is on top of Ensnare's infrastructure, doing a fantastic job of chewing through it. He's also expanding simultaneously to his gold expansion, just hopping back and forth. It looks like with those stalkers, the siege tank's now engaging full front. There's the Guardian Shield up. Ensnare with not a lot of army back to defend. Now the stalkers blinking the ground. There's well played.
WGG.
Excellent play from
iNcontroL gonna take the first game on Crossfire.
And I gotta say, convincingly so.
Yes, indeed.
That wasn't just like a fluke. iNcontroL played that perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. I gotta say that last minute positioning though to sweep underneath that army and take out that natural expansion, brilliant play.
Yeah, Ensnare really needed to solidify that position. He needed to be a little bit more mobile. That's the problem with that type of army composition. You have to be a lot more mobile in Crossfire because there are these back doors. They're bi-directional map really. You can either go from the right side or the left side. So for him to only defend against one side, iNcontroL just exploited that brilliantly. And I just love how he defended against that opening. Do you know why? Because I helped him out. 3-gate into Nexus, into Colossus. The Colossus timing was perfect.
The timing
able
was
to come out just right in time for those Marines.
A minute later, even a few seconds later, that push might have been up on his rim. He might not have been able to stage that Colossi in position. But once that Colossi was there, raked over the Marines from Ensnare, completely changed the opening. Just absolutely well played, I gotta say.
Hands down to iNcontroL. I tip my hat to you,
hats
sir.
Off. That was really well played.
And we're going to be going directly into Game 2. We're all set up. It's going to be on Backwater Gulch. I cannot wait. Let's go ahead and get into it, Diggity. Alright, so we're going to be going directly into Game number 2 of EG iNcontroL versus OGS Ensnare. iNcontroL is up 1-0. This is Week 1, Division number 2. And here we go on Backwater Gulch.
Looks like we have OGS Ensnare starting in the bottom left-hand corner as the blue Terran. Bottom right-hand corner, we have EG iNcontroL as the red Protoss. In Game 1, iNcontroL proving that he can get it done against a Code S Korean.
Indeed. I thought it was, a little sketchy. I thought Ensnare, his drops were absolutely beautiful, and he was able to slow him down quite a bit. Then getting that gold expansion, I was like, okay, Ensnare has this locked down. He has his side, but penetrating that one side of the map, iNcontroL just played so intelligent. That's what I'm talking about. He's such an intelligent player when it comes to just the later game stages.
Yeah, I have to say, it looked for a second as though iNcontroL were coming unraveled. It looked like for a moment he was just going to end up just losing to all of those drops, just getting pinned back, that OGS Ensnare was just going to roll over him with a gigantic economy, taking that gold base where iNcontroL was not able to scout it, and just absolutely fantastic defense and comeback for iNcontroL, I got to say. And I wouldn't even call it a comeback, really. He just stayed in that match head-to-head all the way through, currently scouting that upper right-hand base, finding nothing. And interesting from Ensnare, not going for going for a barracks towards the front at kind of an interesting slot. Maybe you can comment on that.
I think it's not too good to be going for a wall on this map just because we can see it's jutted out. It's not too good, and if you get an observer around here, and you're going to be able to snipe off a lot of that stuff, especially Void Race, it's very difficult to be able to defend. So just want to play it completely safe. This is very standard coming out from Ensnare, but again, he's going ahead and doing this 1-Rax gasless expansion. This is going to be giving him a really huge economic boost. But we're going to see if he's going to be able to again apply any bit of pressure, or if he's just going to be able to, kind of consolidate, defend, and be absolutely safe.
Kind of like that positioning on Backwater Gulch, just because you do have kind of that odd cliffside edge, just the architecture of it, a little bit different from a lot of the other maps. Looks like iNcontroL is finally going to be able to wander and get a scout. I would not want to wall off against, let alone any Protoss that's going to go Stalker or anything early in sort of harassment, but definitely not iNcontroL at what is pseudo-close positions, bottom right, bottom left, on Backwater Gulch. Looks like Marine chasing down that probe, wants blood. iNcontroL is going to be able to escape with it, though.
Ooh.
And there, an expansion right behind it. And I got to say, iNcontroL did not get a lot of information there.
Yeah, absolutely. He wasn't able to see if any of the gases were taken. Just going to back up very convincingly, and Ensnare is going to be taking this expansion now. This is going to give him a huge economic lead if he can get it up. But look at that. iNcontroL putting down a proxy pylon immediately, and is still on one gateway.
Oof, one gateway, it looks like he is pumping that Stalker. It looks like he's wandering out, perhaps to place another one. Never mind. Forge and cancellation. A little bit of a mistake, perhaps nerves playing here. That Forge actually costing him some minerals, and in the early game, every little bit counts. That might hurt him. I mean, that's a Stalker that's coming out a few seconds later. That's allowing Ensnare to be a little bit more defensive, perhaps. That hurts early. So command center up. It looks like Ensnare is going to put down a preventative bunker right on that double-pronged entrance. He also has the Marines at that forward staging position. I also want to comment that he also has control of that Zelnaga watchtower and providing some, and that's providing some nice information as well. If any sort of push comes out from iNcontroL, any troops staging forward before the warp gates, he's going to be able to see it coming.
Indeed, and we do see in the bottom left-hand corner of iNcontrol's base a Twilight Council. Shh, be very quiet about it. He's trying to do a Dark Templar rush. I do think that's generally indicative of that. And we might even see a hallucination technique. Now, you can use hallucination, get one sentry out, although we don't see any sentries just yet. You can get one sentry out and go ahead and just make a pylon right over here, get the hallucination to see above, and then you spawn a Dark Templar. So we're going to see how he does this. Shh, the Dark Shine is coming right now.
In the meantime, OGS Ensnare, still refusing to grab gas, is going up to 4 barracks, again an interesting configuration, almost like an arrow on the minimap, which is, wow. We'll see how this plays out. I got to say, Dark Templar do pretty well against Marines in open ground without that concept, but OGS Ensnare is going to have a ton of Marines early, and I wouldn't be surprised if he even goes for a quick third base on top of this, the way he's playing. Still no gas, and we're already, what, 6 minutes in the match?
And an engineering bay is coming out right now at the 6 minute and 30-second mark for Ensnare. This is pretty standard. I mean, you generally don't need one that fast just because it's around the 7 minutes to 7 minute 30-second mark where the Dark Shrine is going to appear and they can warp in some units. But we're going to see, I mean, iNcontroL did look like he's going to be pushing out there. That's why the second bunker is going down. I'm not sure, though, if he's going to be making turrets in time for this incoming push. And yes, he does make a turret very huge.
Oh, this is going to hurt for iNcontroL. He's already economically behind. It looks like now Ensnare taking 2 gas behind this. Oh, he needs to do something with this attack, otherwise he could be in trouble. But it looks like instead he's going to push back and open up that destructible rock. Oh,
man, and the missile turret is going to come out just in time. Really, really nice play, and I think he's just going to try to run past, but he's going to be able to see it. Both Dark Templars do look like they're going to go down. Oh, no. And iNcontroL going to be quite far behind, as this expansion has been taken for quite some time.
Yeah, at the very least, this will give him some degree of map control, depending on how OGS Ensnare decides to spend his mules versus Comsat. And it looks like iNcontroL already has taken that Nexus at his natural. I wouldn't be shocked, though, to try to stay in this match if he immediately tries to take another base on top of it. Still doing a little bit of engagement versus the Marines on the front door. All he really needs to do, though, is leave those Dark Templar, let them scout for him, let them deny that. I think a critical thing, though, is maybe get a Dark Templar on the other side of that destructible rock around that corner that OGS Ensnare is opening up right now.
Yeah, indeed, and we can see that OGS Ensnare is getting a ton of barracks. He has 6 barracks right now. That's going to give him the ability to just mass up a ton of units, and actually not putting any any add-ons on these. Just continuing with straight up Marines and Marauders. Just going to be going off of this 6 base or the 6 barracks. So this is going to be really hard for iNcontroL to stop, assuming that Ensnare does save up as much of these scans as possible. He really needs those scans, and yes, he does have 2 saved up to be able to defend against these Dark Templars.
Wow. Yeah, iNcontrol's going to have a really hard time. He's a ton of supply behind already. He does have that 3rd base up, but he's got a long way to go, and I almost feel like it's going to be walking uphill with a bunch of rocks coming at you headlong. It's almost Donkey Kong style. Single Dark Templar, seeing that army moving out. Let's see if it's going to engage. It looks like it's going to sit back. And no, now he was thinking about making a run, but OGS Ensnare already on top of it, had it blockaded with the supply depot. Then, iNcontroL in a lot of trouble. I think Ensnare already anticipated this, realized, okay, well, if he's going to get back into this, he needs to take a quick base. Let me go ahead and press against this while he has no troops.
Yeah, now the first Marine, a couple of Marines are going to be sniped now. But the scan does last for quite a long time, so as long as he can keep this up, we do see another Dark Templar going to be coming here. Oh, crucially going in way too early, and Ensnare looking in really good position now. A couple Force Fields are going to be able to segment this army, but there are not enough attacking units for iNcontroL. iNcontroL is actually just losing to this little pocket of units, and all the Marines back here are saying, "Let me in!" iNcontroL gonna GG immediately, and we have the series tied up at 1-1. That is a very fast game, but I mean, as soon as you lose the Dark Templars, that's a huge tech investment to be going into, and if you don't get some material advantage off of that, it's very difficult to be taking any sort of long game after that.
Definitely, if you're going to invest that heavily into tech early, you have to at least get some degree of map control to count for it after that, and OGS Ensnare ripping that out of iNcontroL's hands, just absolutely devastating in that match. I'm almost curious his decision to open up Dark Templar in Game 2.
Kind of weird.
Against a player like Ensnare, you'd think he would assume, okay, this is a Korean, this is a Code S guy, he's going to be well prepared for it, he's going to have it planned out, but instead risking it, we're now going to go on to Game 3 on Tal'Darim Altar, which should be, I'm really excited about this match, actually, between these two guys.
It's going to be a longer match for both these players. We're going to get to see, it's going to kind of conform to that long type of game since both of them are very far away. So let's go ahead and get into it, because I'm so excited for this next match. It's 1-1, man.
1-1, everything on the line.
I know.
Ensnare at risk of losing to iNcontroL, which would be absolutely huge for him, I know.
Indeed. So let's go ahead. We're all set up, and we're ready to go. All right, we're going into this. We do have Tal'Darim Altar, as I just said before. iNcontroL is 1-1 against Ensnare. This is Week 1, Division 2, and I'm your host, Andre Greater Pangshua. Joined alongside with me is Diggity. Diggity SC, actually, I should say.
On YouTube, you guys can check me out. I'd very much appreciate it. Bottom left-hand corner, we have OGS Ensnare as the blue Terran up right-hand corner. We have iNcontroL starting as the red Protoss, and we are on Tal'Darim Altar.
Cross positions, sir.
Cross positions once
so
again.
It has to be a long game. There's no way. Well, I say that, and one of them is going to proxy or cheese or something. But I think both these players don't want to risk it all. I mean, this is what people are going to remember them as for the first match coming out into the NASL. They don't want to be labeled a cheeser. They don't want to be labeled anything in particular. So I think that kind of plays into it. We're going to be seeing a very standard play coming out from both these players. I'm just going to predict this. Okay? 1 Rax, gasless expand for OGS Ensnare.
That definitely seems to be his style thus far.
Whoa. This is a wild prediction, not a style.
Okay,
it's completely independent of all the games I've seen before.
I also feel like it's important to point out that when iNcontroL took his match versus Ensnare, it was a positional victory.
Yes.
And this is one of those maps, once again, where you can win positionally. So I feel like on Tal'Darim Altar, it could go either way. It's one of those games that iNcontroL is capable of winning, but at the same time, OGS Ensnare has shown a strong, very light gas, heavy mineral, heavy marine macro opening style. And the question is will iNcontroL be able to keep up with it on the this map, it always goes to middle game.
Yes.
It's very rare to see it end early game. Will he be able to keep up?
Yeah, well, he does have a lot of information from the last 2 games. He sees, okay, Ensnare, I think you like Marine, sir.
Yeah.
And it's going to be if he goes ahead and gets that Colossus fast enough. Now, this map, because we are in cross positions, it's going to help him quite a bit as the travel time for the Marines to get there is much longer. So he can chrono boost out an individual. Oh my gosh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm done for today.
Like I was saying,
I'm done for at least predictions today.
Well, you know what they say about assumptions? They're bad. You can't do it. It looks like iNcontroL also getting an early probe inside of OGS Ensnare's base. He's going to be able to get that critical scouting information that he didn't have last map, which it might have even put him in a bit of an uncomfortable position, doing a little bit of harass here and there, just attacking. Oh, never mind. I'm going to steal minerals for a second there. He was up and attacking. Probably going to exit the base here. Marine doing a lot of damage there. Kills the probe with those valuable minerals in hand. So small victories early, and we do see a tech lab to open from Ensnare.
Yeah, so most likely, I'm not going to predict, but if I was Ensnare, let's say that, if I was Ensnare, I would go ahead and get my Marauder and get the concussive shell, and that will keep me very safe in the beginning. I can go ahead and 1 Rax expand.
I think the other advantage of going that concussive shell early is you can pick off maybe a stalker that's wandering and being too aggressive out in open field. You can deny information. You can catch those probes, slow them down before they're able to really push in. You can also take control of a lot of those watchtowers. Looks like that SCV is starting to move up. There's only a single zealot blockading. Let's see if that SCV will be able to sneak across in just a moment here. The engagement, the stare down, the zealot waits. Oh, is able to pause it. Wow! No, it didn't even need the stalker help. Wow, stalker, I don't even need you. That was the statement right there. But a Marauder moving out command center, up and building for Ensnare, and he's already got several Marauders, an SCV, and a Marine pushing out in the field.
Yeah, and a Reaper also on the way. Do keep in mind that the Reaper will give him the ability to go ahead and scout out. Now, there isn't a ton of ways for this Reaper to go up. There's this back route where the Reaper can take and kind of go ahead and see what's going on. But we're going to see if iNcontroL is going to be able to spot that out. Also, actually 3 gates, so not going to be doing 1 gate expansion or anything, actually going a 3 gate, and looks like he wants to pressure up in this front. Now, this is a very common build that a lot of Terrans do. They're going to pressure up in this front with 2 Marauders and 1 Marine, and just draw units to the front. You have to draw units to the front, and then they're going to use the Reaper to swing back behind and catch and see. It's just a scouting utensil. Just going to see exactly what's going on.
Maybe catch a sentry if it's an open field, although it looks like we already have several sentries and a stalker, so I doubt it at this stage. iNcontroL actually pressing forward a little bit as well, catching another SCV. Wow, really keeping Ensnare in the dark at this stage. It looks like he's also sneaking a pylon near that destructible rocks in that bottom right of Ensnare's base at the 3rd. That actually could provide some critical information later in this match. In the meantime, Ensnare has tacked on 2 additional barracks. He's also building a preventative bunker, which he absolutely has to. He has no idea what iNcontrol's up to at this stage. So needs that bunker out in the field just in case there was some sort of all-in incoming.
Indeed, and we can see the Reaper right here is just going to chill out and not do anything whatsoever. Actually, Ensnare coming down here looking for the pylon. I don't know if he's going to be able to see that. Yes, he does see the pylon that is going to be proxy there. So he's going to be setting up quite a bit. Another bunker is going down, but iNcontroL might be able to come in on this time at a very crucial time. That being said, a Reaper is going to be able to get in here, and Ensnare is going to get up into the mineral line of iNcontroL and going to be able to pick off a couple of these probes. That's a very, very huge pickup. Oh, going to be able to surround the Reaper. Really nice play, and I think this Reaper is going to be able to be taken out.
Oh, hero probe, but not before many of its friends were killed. iNcontroL also engaging, trying to take out that bunker on the front with the concussive shells, losing a Zealot on the retreat, and that was perfect timing from Ensnare, I have to say, attacking right as iNcontroL is moving out towards his natural expansion, and iNcontroL getting absolutely dumbfounded there, running into a brick wall that is Ensnare, not really able to accomplish anything with that attack, that had to defend with probes. You never want to defend with probes versus a Reaper.
Indeed, and we can see that iNcontroL is very stalker-like. He is, I think, too many sentries for a push onto some bunkers, and I don't know what he can do right now. I think he's just going to go ahead and expand. Yes, he is going up to 400 minerals, going to be able to go expand right there, but still, he's going to be reacting to this expand. He definitely needs to get a lot more units or a lot more expansions to be able to scale correctly with this Terran army, because we can see, holy guacamole, 4 barracks already coming out for Ensnare.
So the critical question now is, with iNcontroL taking what is, I would say, a later Nexus, will he be able to get those Colossi out in time to deal with Ensnare's huge infantry army that is going to be coming out in just a minute or two here, because he's got a lot of barracks. He's just been pushing it. You can see him defending up with those bunkers on the front door, and just actually recycling them now. He's going to have a ton of Marauders, a ton of Marines to work with in a very short period of time.
Indeed, and iNcontroL does look like he's going to go ahead and just play absolutely standard. He's going to just take the loss a little bit. Keep in mind that if Ensnare goes to pressure, there is a lot of room to traverse, and to get reinforcements is very, very hard. So I think iNcontroL understands that, and he's going to say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and play macro a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to defend everything pretty efficiently. Now, finally going to get the Nexus up. But Ensnare looking like he wants to go ahead and pressure up, as he does have stim, does have concussive shells, and I do believe that combat shields, yes, it is just now researching.
Looks like he's also got that command center building inside of his base, going to take a quick 3rd engineering bay, 2 engineering bays up to supplement that heavy infantry army, just now getting that level 1 armor on top of everything else. But this is a significant army from OGS Ensnare that is encroaching towards that natural expansion. iNcontroL, and it looks like a comsat, and upon that comsat, I assume he's going to press this a little bit.
Ooh, and here it comes. He's going to suit up a little bit. There is, oh my gosh, shooting from the low ground actually. And these force fields are extremely nice at delaying. He's going to be able to pick off a couple of these units, but not too many. Going to be warping in a couple more units. But again, iNcontroL is going to be able to be extremely sound with that defense. That's what I'm talking about. Very hard to be able to pressure, because think that's a complete production cycle that he needs to you know, that will happen if he traverses the map. Actually, no factory is going down just yet. Getting 8 barracks, excuse me, 8 barracks, and count them. and meanwhile going to be getting another command center. So Ensnare playing this huge Marine Marauder army composition. He's going to be looking just to take map control with a ton of units.
Looks like he is basically going to try to race to 200-200, not even going to bother with a medevac at this stage. Finally actually getting a factory down, which is very late, but wow, so many barracks out. Looks like he's already got 3 tech labs down plus a reactor. So he can pump a ton of troops very, very rapidly, and I think he's going to have the economy to do it once he lands this additional base and gets it saturated. NControl already starting off on the back foot. He's going to be a little bit late on that third. He's going to just facing a huge macro deficit here against Ensnare. I feel like Ensnare just really smooth with the transition, really smooth with this macro game. It's going to be very difficult. I feel like NControl needs to run up and do something.
Yeah, and we can also see Ensnare does have position of all the Xel'Naga towers. We can see 3 out of the 4 Xel'Naga towers. That's giving him so much map control, allowing him to position his units. Right now, all he has to worry about is harassment, right? Because he has control of the entire map. He knows nothing's going to go on in terms of pushes. So these Marines and Marauders are very nicely positioned, going to be able to swing to this natural or to the main if needed be. And what NControl really needs to do, I think because he's taken such a huge economic loss, he has to be defensive literally until 200-200. He cannot be pushing out whatsoever because he doesn't have the capacity to ever be ahead of his opponent. He needs to just say, okay, I'm going to be 3 base, and then as soon as we go and engage in a 200-200 army, I just need to be cost efficient with my army. And we can see him already upgrading +1/1 to his his weapons and his armor. So again, just looking for that later stage of the game.
My concern currently is that once NControl hits 200-200, once NControl even hits 120, Ensnare might be hitting the 200 mark and starting to press out in the field. He's got a lot of Marines, a lot of Marauders. Granted, he doesn't have the medevacs, but just in the pure meat, the pure brutal concentration of forces, he is extremely aggressive and might even be able to just stage up and take map control with everything he's got. Just slice this map in half very rapidly. It looks like he's finally got that reactor with that factory, going to get medevacs out shortly. But I gotta say, I worry about sitting back on that 200-200 style that I feel like he's even going to be so far behind once that comes around. Ensnare already at 150, NControl just at 111. He does have 3 Colossi though. He does have those sentries, so I'm not going to say it's game yet. But still, things not looking good for NControl.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely on the back foot from that early game. It's very hard to pressure up on an opponent when you're completely cross map, and that Reaper did amazing damage. So we're just going to see how he's going to be going about it. There is a 2-2 being researched for Ensnare, so he is ahead in both the upgrades and the economy. Just NControl trying to just grasp at anything he can with these expansions, now getting his 3rd up. But Ensnare has his 3rd for quite some time.
Now it looks like he's actually staging out towards that gold expansion well, perhaps thinking, I think he could actually hold it at this stage. He's at 174 supply versus 127 for NControl. Looks like he is still going to play it safe and starting to walk to the 6 o'clock. Also going to build a command center up on kind of the offside edge while he does so. But man, that is a full complement. He could just build medevacs at this stage and be A-okay with what he's got. Yeah. Just pure on the ground. And currently NControl just at 130 supply. And I love there's just a single Marine from Ensnare being the crazed scout. Wow. Diving in.
Hate to be that guy.
Oh, I hate to be that guy, but absolutely vital. Checking out those additional expansions from NControl. On top of that, getting a good look at the Colossi count and just the flat number count. This is an interesting transition for NControl, though. He's cycling up the Phoenixes. Maybe if he can do some of that background pressure, lifts them off. I think they're mostly, though, defense to keep Vikings off the front door, but I don't think there's even going to be more than 2 Vikings out in the field. I think he has to worry about just a brutal number of Marauders in open field. And I have to say, I love this composition from Ensnare, just because there's so many open fields here where the Marauders can just get up and get concentrated fire on those Colossi.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see double drops coming in. Ensnare going to be pressuring up on this 2nd base, and additionally onto the natural over here. NControl going to see it immediately and has, I love this play, has 2 Phoenixes going to be able to take off that 1 medevac. But still, I mean, NControl is in good position. Again, Ensnare can't go and pressure up into this position because you can just go whoosh, whoosh. That's my force field. If you didn't know it. Yeah. You can just force field very easily, segment some of the army, and Ensnare has to play this a bit passively. That's the trouble with on this map. You can take this cluster of expansions very easily and defend it all game long, and we'd see You know, that differentiation with supplies is slowly closing. 171 for iNcontroL, 297. I think iNcontrol's listening to me because he's doing the exact thing that
brain.
Yeah.
In your brain. Ensnare just staging in the middle of the map, wandering back and forth. A couple Vikings moving out in the field. Looks like iNcontroL is going to take that 12 o'clock base. Ensnare pressing forward, not able to get a lot accomplished with that last attack, and I think he was hoping to maybe try to tempt iNcontroL out or burst something open. But iNcontroL, yeah, now hitting that top, unfortunately, still doesn't have the upgrade equivalency, I would say. Ensnare at 2-2, and he's going to have, I think, also getting the Mobius reactor. Is working on his way to 3-3, also has some ghosts starting to feel out in open field. And again, taking that low ground, going to take out that assimilator, just be annoying where he can.
Ooh, and going to be able to come over, get some pot shots. Colossus are actually doing a lot of damage. And what the Phoenix is, it makes the Vikings extremely ineffective. He needs Thors out on the field, but Thors are so tough. Right now, it's all about this first engagement. If iNcontroL can get good force fields and be able to win the first engagement, I think he's going to have a chance in this again to be able to pop back. You can see that he's evening up in the amount of expansions. They are being contested right now. So Ensnare isn't at the most dominant place right now as we saw him a little bit earlier.
Absolutely correct. This is Tal'Darim Altar. It's one of those maps where you can defend. You can push up to the 200. Looks like iNcontroL taking the forward position. I think we might see our first major engagement here. Never mind. Looks like iNcontroL able to get back in that defensive slot. No, here we go. Engagement. Colossi are going to be okay against those Vikings, engaging a lot of those Marauders,
nice
a lot of damage. Nice force field, splitting that army in half. Looks like the Phoenix is also diving in, picking up the few medevacks that were there. And the Marauders now in full retreat. iNcontroL with a fantastic engagement, dropping 70 supply of Ensnare, and he's now just going to be able to push right into this. He can probably deny that 6 o'clock base, lifting off Marauders. You thought you were getting away? Guess again. iNcontroL just diving into Ensnare, completely dominating that attack.
Yeah, iNcontroL does have to be very careful, though. He can't be, going to be able to pick off one of these ghosts, is going to be able to take it down. EMP is not able to go off. This really, really great play. Now going to be forcing him all the way back. One really nice EMP is going to go off, but the Colossus are just shoving down the neck. There are a ton of Vikings out, but now finally the Phoenixes are going to be able to get in here. The Colossus are just doing way too much damage. Ensnare being put on the back foot, now going to be losing his natural. Oh no, Ensnare had the advantage so long, and now does look like he's going to lose it in the blink of an eye. Holy crap.
Wow, down to 77 supplies. Infrastructure getting raked over the Colossi army. Just completely uncontested. Walking through this, the barracks melting in front of this army. It looks like Vikings popping out just to explode upon that sentry fire. Desperately trying to do what they can. Ensnare, wow, looks like he is going to fall to iNcontroL, refusing to GG at this stage, when really this match is over. iNcontroL with their GG.
GG! iNcontroL gonna take the match 2-1. Unbelievable play. I cannot believe that. You know, I thought for sure iNcontroL was just so far behind in that beginning part. Going 3 warp gate, cross map, not able to do enough damage. And then suddenly it's just like there's a 50 to 70 supply lead for Ensnare. And then iNcontrol's like, no, I got it. I'll just defend until 200. Like, what's your strategy? Oh, I'm going to defend until 200.
You got it. I think that's a testament not just to iNcontroL, but iNcontrol's decision-making on this map set. That is really, in other situations on Metalopolis, that would be much more difficult to execute, but on a map like Tal'Darim Altar, where you can just force field those ramps out, absolutely beautiful execution on iNcontroL, even though that was the thing. I got to say, excellent composure.
Yeah.
Excellent composure from iNcontroL. Seeing Ensnare's army out there, not overcommitting, not panicking, just sitting back, able to get that army up, and just playing absolutely fantastically.
You know, as a caster, it's very easy to make these analysis judgments because you have full, 100% vision of everything. You can see exactly what's going on. iNcontroL doesn't have the information and is able to come with the same conclusion that I did originally. You just defend till 200. That's the only thing you can do. And what did he do? He just defended the entire time, got his upgrades up, contested him the whole time, and was able to just be super cost efficient with that end battle. Phoenix Colossus proving too much, and inevitably he did win the match.
And let's not underemphasize here, iNcontroL beat a Code-S Korean here.
Yeah.
This is a guy who trains all his life to play StarCraft 2. and he ended up pulling out a victory, which a lot of people, including me, I thought the Koreans were going to absolutely dominate this tournament, but iNcontroL showing that he can compete with the big boys.
Definitely, and it does look like we have iNcontroL on a Skype call. We're going to go directly into that interview. I can't wait to give him a big ol' hug, too, when I see him. So we have Jeff on the Skype call right now. Jeff, you handsome devil.
Oh, my God.
How do you feel right now?
Dude, I turned around to Russ's wife and I said, now, if you weren't here, I would be screaming right now. And I'm shaking. I called Anna. She didn't pick up to tell her good things. No results, obviously, but I am so happy. I have nothing but respect for OGS Ensnare, and I thought I was toast. I was so sad. I mean, I'm sure you'll ask me specifics, but that game, too, you saw me, like, cancel 5 things. The DTs did, like, a pump fist in the middle of the ramp, and I was like, no, it's all crumbling before me. And then in Game 3, I tried to cross-map pressure on this giant map, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I was worried.
Yeah, Game 1, what a strong build, I do have to say so myself. I'm pretty happy that we talked about that, too, a little bit.
Well, you said that, because that makes me look so smart. I knew exactly what he was going to do.
I know. It looks so good. You played so well, able to take that game very convincingly. Game number 2, you kind of faltered with the Dark Templar rush.
Yeah.
You weren't able to get that up, and ultimately you did lose just because you weren't able to materialize. But Game 3, walk me through Game 3, how your mentality was after, you went cross-map, you did a 3-gate pressure, he was able to defend it off, and then now he has this extra expansion up on you.
Yeah.
He actually had a third up on you for a good 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
Talk me through how you went about just your mentality. What was your strategy after knowing you were behind that wall?
Well, if there's something to call that build, it's like the haymaker. I mean, I knew I saw him take his third faster than me. I knew he was on a second much faster than me. My pressure was completely ineffectual. I anticipated the drops. He had done that in Game 1, so I don't have a lot of experience against OGS Ensnare, obviously, but Terrans love to kind of repeat the old tricks if it has any kind of success. And in that Game 1, the drops did pretty good damage for their cost.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think either of them got picked off. So I anticipated it with a couple cannons and was able to diversify my army and hold that off for no cost. But then I saw, actually the best feeling in the world was seeing this gargantuan, and this is such a weird thing to say, a gargantuan Marauder Marine army in the middle of the map. And I was like, you know what? I don't think he has enough supply to keep up with my Phoenix. And as long as my Colossus are untouchable from those Vikings and I throw up enough force fields, like I did in that big fight, he's toast. There's nothing he can do to touch my army with that composition specifically. So praise be to Taldarum Altar for those ramps and force fields, man. Otherwise, I'm toast.
Hey, man, you did awesome. You actually dropped the supply from 200 to 130 in less than, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So
that's what 8 Colossus will do, man.
Pretty phenomenal. You played absolutely fantastic. A huge congratulations to you,
buddy.
iNcontroL. And, well, I will see you, I guess, tomorrow, man.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to get back in that studio. And you know what? For today, today I feel so good. I'm going to hold on to this feeling for a while because it feels so good to beat a player like Ensnare.
Indeed. Well, a huge congratulations again. All right, so there it is. The 5 matches did go down. Oh my gosh. Some huge upsets went down today.
Yeah, that was, wow. That's all I can say. Wow. Really great games across the board. Really well played. Matches I never thought would be possible.
Every single series was really strong, and it was such a pleasure casting next to you. Diggity, this is like a dream come true to be casting right next to you.
The honor is entirely mine. It's been great casting with you all day, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Again, if you guys enjoyed what you see of me, you can go to youtube.com/DiggitySC. And subscribe. I do a lot of YouTube commentaries there, and it's been a pleasure to work with you and the NASL.
Well, thank you, and I highly promote your stream. It's definitely an awesome casting stream, without a doubt. We also would say, if you liked us today, you can go and buy an HD pass. You can see all of this going down at 1080p. There are no commercials whatsoever. And more information can be found at NASL TV, www.nasltv. You can also like us on Facebook or on Twitter at twitter.com/NASLTV and facebook.com/NASLTV. Also, we do want to give a couple shout-outs and thanks to wellplayed.org. They have partnered with us, and they've been absolutely awesome. And last but not least, we do want to say a huge thanks to Underline Entertainment. And I do want to say, Diggity, I cannot stress this enough. Thank you for coming in today and casting with me. It's been such a pleasure, and I am your host, Andre Gato Pengshua.
I'm Diggity SC. Zach Diggity SC Smith, I should say.
And we are going to be signing out for the day. Thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you soon.